Well, let me warn you, this video is a little bit longer because I want to pause for a moment. I need to pause for a moment, not to teach, not to challenge, but simply to say thank you. Every time I open the comments beneath these videos, I'm struck by the depth, the honesty and vulnerability that you bring every time. You don't just leave words, read them. You leave pieces of your story, pieces of your heart. And I want you to know that I read every single one of them. They remind me that what I do here isn't just about algorithms. It's not just about numbers. It's about connection. It's about building a space where creativity and struggle, hope, healing can all sit at the table together. And seeing that what I share has somehow become a small, very small part of your story, that's one of the strongest, healthiest motivators I know. So if you've ever shared something raw or real in my comment section, thank you. You're not just supporting a channel, you're fueling a mission. You're one of the reasons that I keep showing up. And I don't take that lightly. The club. The club was small, half hidden, the kind of place that you could only find if you were meant to. Tucked along a side street in Studio City is the Baked Potato. It had that timeless jazz club feel even back in the 80s, you know, the dim lights, the worn brick. Well, I'd slipped into a corner table that night without really any expectation, just some music, maybe a little magic, who knows. And then the saxophonist stepped forward. He didn't announce himself. I don't think he needed to. His presence was quiet, almost reverent, as if his horn in his hands were a vessel of something much larger than him. What followed wasn't a performance. It was a conversation. It was a dialogue between soul and sound. Each note seemed to wrestle with something invisible, something reaching, falling, rising again. There were moments of absolute brilliance and moments of fracture. But even the imperfections, they felt intentional, as though they were essential to the story he was trying to tell. By the time the final note dissolved into the dimness, the room was hushed. Something had shifted, not in the music, but in the people listening. Well, when the set ended, I made my way toward the back of the room, and that's where I found him, hunched over his horn. Sweat was still clinging to his brow. I think he was lost somewhere between exhaustion and reflection. And then he looked up, and then recognition sparked. This wasn't just any musician. This was someone I knew. This was a childhood friend that I'd lost touch with over the years. The same kid I'd ridden bikes with through cracked neighborhood streets. The same boy who'd spent hours talking about music like it was oxygen. Even back then, I remembered the shadows that he wrestled with, the way he'd downplay his talent, the way not good enough seemed to haunt every single dream he had. We hugged, we laughed about how much older we looked. And then I told him what I'd felt, what I experienced during his set, how the room had shifted with every note, how his solo carried a weight and honesty that couldn't be faked. He stared at the floor, shaking his head with a small, weary smile. You know what's crazy about this, Carlos? All these years, and I still walk on stage with the same knot in my stomach that I had when we were kids. Every time I pick up this horn, I wonder if I'm just fooling everyone. If I'm still that kid who never felt good enough, trying too hard to sound like he is. The room hummed around us, clinking glasses, low conversation, the faint crackle of an old amp. But in that moment, everything seemed to fall silent. Then he exhaled, slowly and steadily, like he was finally letting go of something heavy. But you know what, Carlos? Maybe that's why the music matters. Maybe it's not in spite of that doubt. Maybe it's because of it. Maybe the reason people feel something is because I still do. Maybe every note is me trying to prove to that kid I was that he is enough, that he always was. Well, I walked away from that conversation thinking about all the ways we try to silence our uncertainty, all the ways we treat it as an enemy. But perhaps, doubt isn't there to defeat us. Perhaps it's there to deepen us, to keep us honest, to keep us humble, to keep us hungry. Perhaps the art that we're most proud of will always come from that delicate place between who we are and who we're still becoming. And maybe, just maybe, that's the hidden truth of every creative path. The doubt doesn't mean you're on the wrong road. It means you're walking it awake. It's not a sign of weakness, but of witness, a reminder that what you're reaching for still matters enough to make you tremble. And that trembling, that's the pulse of real art. So let's start by talking about doubt as a creative compass. Well, here's what I learned, or that I'm still learning, that came out of that night. Self-doubt. Self-doubt isn't the enemy of creativity. It's the evidence of it. It's proof that you care deeply, deeply about what you're shaping. That the thing you're trying to make isn't just another post, another project, another attempt to be seen. It's proof that what you're building matters, that you're not playing safe notes anymore, but searching for honest ones. We spend so much of our creative lives trying to overcome doubt, don't we? As if it's something to be eliminated before we can even create anything meaningful. But the truth is this: it's often the presence of doubt, not the absence of it, that signals we're on sacred ground. When the stakes are low, confidence is easy. But when you're creating from your soul, trembling is inevitable. Think about it for a minute. Every brushstroke that is worth keeping, every page worth writing, every piece of music that still lives in your bones, all of it was born out of uncertainty. It's the search that gives art its pulse. It's the not knowing that makes discovery possible. Doubt is not a dead end. It's a doorway. And that moment you stop fearing it, you begin walking through it with purpose. Now let's talk about the discipline of staying in the tension. This is the part that I think many of us creators run from. The tension. The space between the note that you meant to play and the one that came out. Between the picture you imagined and the one that's actually on the screen. Between who you are today and the artist you still dream of becoming. Most people, they try to close that gap as quickly as possible, but masters learn to live there. Because it's in that tension that we grow. It's in that uncomfortable middle space that our craft sharpens, our voice deepens, our art becomes more than just product. It becomes process. And the longer you're willing to stay in that uncertainty without running, without numbing, without quitting, the more honest and transcendent your work will become. Now let's talk about the mirror of doubt. If you listen closely, doubt is rarely saying what you think it is. It's not whispering, "You're not enough." It's holding up a mirror and it's asking, "Do you see how much this matters to you?" I think most people mistake that mirror for a verdict. They see their reflection, shaky hands, unfinished work, ideas that don't match the brilliance they imagined, and assume they've failed. But creators Creators who grow wiser, they learn to look back, because doubt doesn't appear when you're indifferent. It doesn't haunt your projects that you don't care about or the dreams you're willing to abandon. It shows up in front of the work that means something, the work that carries a piece of your soul. It shows up not to shame you, but to reveal you, to show you the gap between the person you are and the person you're becoming. And that mirror, it's not an enemy. It's an invitation. It's asking you to keep going, not because you're ready, but because you're becoming ready through the doing. It's showing you the distance, not so you'll turn back, but so you'll pick up your pace. Every artist, every writer, every filmmaker, musician has stared into the same reflection and mistaken it for a stop sign. But the truth is this: doubt, it isn't there to stop you. It's there to sharpen you. When you start seeing doubt as a mirror and not a wall, something shifts. It stops being the thing that holds you back and becomes the thing that hones your edge. And one day you'll look into that reflection and realize that what once felt like fear was actually faith in disguise. Proof that the vision inside you was always bigger than the version of you standing in front of it. So here's my challenge to you. The next time doubt starts whispering, when your work feels small, when your hands shake before you hit upload, when you question whether you're good enough to even try, don't push it away. Don't silence it. Instead, step closer to the mirror and let it show you what matters. Let it remind you that you're not playing pretend anymore. You're in the deep waters now, where art stops being performance and starts becoming prayer. Because the truth is this: every creator that you admire has stood in that same spot, trembling, questioning, searching, and they created anyway. Now go, honor truth, face what is, speak what's real, and create from the deepest place you know.